Hello, this is Dave Johnson from Moonride.
And Lena Rodriguez from Tarot Down Under.
And today we're going to read on Manafort's second trial.
Yeah, because we've all been immersed in what happened first time round.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's now wheeling and dealing.
Mm-hmm.
He can forget the pardon at this stage, the fact he's talking to Muller at all. So he's left his run very late.
Mm-hmm.
But what is this second trial about? As I understand it, it's about his Russian connections.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying he came on board to the campaign.
Right. Yeah, from what we know, it looks like he didn't actually join the campaign until after the conversation with Trump Jr. and the Russians in Trump Tower. Right? So this is a very interesting phenomenon. You know, why would you join right after that meeting? What wasn't it for you?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So we know Manafort's dirty to the extent he chose to represent the worst dictators in the world.
I mean, you could have... Hitler would have been as bad as these people.
Truly
awful,
vile,
awful,
horrendous people. And he plucked them out because he knew they'd find it hard to get lobbyists. And he said, I'm your man, right? But what we're interested in today is the Russian stuff. What is there? What's the dirt? So I'll read the cards first, and then Dave will channel on the same topic for us. So let's see. Manafort's second trial, which is when? It's only a few weeks.
Days, maybe a few weeks, few days. I don't know when it is
It's
exactly.
fairly soon.
But it's soon, yeah.
Manafort in the second trial.
Interesting that it's coming before the next election.
Yeah.
Or at the beginning of the next election.
Yeah. All right, now, if you
lower the camera,
the hydraulics,
sure.
It's
no
a very
problem.
high-tech operation.
Yes, we're very serious people.
I'm going to do a 5-carder for him. Manafort's second trial. And we see these. Can't see how it's going here. Okay. Excuse me. I'll have a little coffee. Now, what have we got in the middle? We've got the strength card. So this is the card for him for this reading. So he was in a very strong position. We're talking about Manafort and Russia. He was very strongly placed by having the connections with Russia because he supported Russian delegates in the Ukraine and also as a businessman. He has an extensive history with Russia. So he brought that to the campaign. He was seen as a great strength to the campaign. Trump was really thrilled to get him, I think, from this. So prior to this, in his recent past, the hot air balloon could be Trump himself. But I think Manafort, over the world, like the world was his playground. And he, unlike a lot of Americans who are uncomfortable out of the American zone, he made himself very comfortable in all sorts of strange places. So I think that's him in a global sense. So, underneath that, unfinished business. All right, you will notice the imagery here, that the painter is painting the woman on the bed, but the painting's not finished. The implication being unfinished business with Russia. This is another thing that I suspect might be keeping Putin awake at night too.
Oh, yeah?
This second trial, I hadn't thought about that connection, but I'm just getting the flash now. Putin is watching this with hawk-like eyes because this is what's going to join the dots with the Russian stuff. Okay. Now, over his mini-reading, the card that Trump got earlier, the dandy card, if you like, or, you know, the very successful playboy businessman. Okay. This is a sort of Renaissance version of what these guys were like in their Armani suits now, although that's going to eventually be swapped for the orange jumpsuit. It's not so snazzy. So you have the story that's being told is he did have genuine power and influence, and he mixed with others of genuine power and influence. So of the Russian names that have passed by, there's Kirsliak and various ones. Don't forget Felix Sater, who was Bayrock Industries, money laundering for Manafort and Trump. Okay, so that's as far as it goes there. Then we have the short-term outcome, the Queen of Fire. Now, this could be a couple of things, but my first thought is the Russians have compromised on anybody who goes there, any high-flying businessman who's been going to Moscow in the last 20 years, anything else. It's automatic. It's just what the Russian state does, because you never know when you're going to call in the favours. So I don't doubt for a minute that this involves a woman. But it could also be the woman lawyer from the famous July meeting, who I think has mental health issues.
Do you?
What's her name? Verosliak or something.
Yeah.
And she at first said, I was just there to talk about adoptions, when they were all pretending it was about adoptions. And then later she came out and said, no, they wanted me to broker these deals with Russia. And so she couldn't have said that without permission from the Kremlin.
Right.
So the Kremlin are invested in this story here that's going to unfold with Manafort at his next trial. And I think my takeaway from this is that it won't be there won't be an opportunity for Don Jr. or Trump or any of them after this Manafort trial to deny the Russian connections.
Wow. Okay. So let's channel on this. Let's see. Okay. Spirit Manafort's second trial. All right. Well, it's interesting because I can see the judge and I can see Manafort standing up for sentencing. And he's standing up for sentencing. So there's not really any question of whether he's guilty or innocent. He's standing up for sentencing. He's looking very downcast. And this judge is looking really, really angry. And I'm just getting this judge is looking really, really angry that all of this could have been easily solved if he had just said the truth in the beginning. We and our country would not have gone through this. And the judge is very angry about this. So the judge is actually looking very civic-minded. And the judge is, he's saying, I'm going to throw the book at this guy. I am not, there is no way, you will not find any sympathy here. And that's what I'm getting. And do we know what it is that Manafort was doing? Wow, this is again interesting. I'm getting a lot of medieval battle images today. But this is it. And it's sort of like the judge is saying, look at this medieval battle and all of these dead bodies. You're responsible for all of these things that happened here. So it's in the melee of this whole debacle, which was the last election, where it really was like a war. He's being held responsible for it. So I get that there's no question at all about the Russian connection. And I'm also getting Putin's face here. Okay, and you guys, I'm just going to tell you this. When I get Putin in the space, I have to say this. Only the highest good can enter right now into this channel. All else are dismissed. Okay, so Putin's looking sneaky. And now he's looking serious, and now he's looking disappointed. I think you're right. I did not think about this, but I think he's watching this trial more than we think, and I think he is invested in the end result. Here we're seeing the end result. And I think it really will cause some practical problems for Putin. The fact that he will get caught will actually make him look weak to his constituents. So it doesn't just matter in the world stage, it actually matters in Russia. And he's looking like it really matters a lot. Like he's actually having trouble keeping his own people at bay right now. One thing that's interesting is he's done this 100 times to his own people. And he's never ever faced the consequences. And now they are watching the American system and they're going, look, in America, people are held to account for the things that they do wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a big fat mafia, although we might see it sometimes. There are laws. There is some level of justice in the United States of America, but we're not getting any of that. So this is supposed to be propaganda, but at the same time, we're looking at this and saying, maybe it's actually reversed because we are seeing justice being served here. I think that, and I see people at Putin's gate. I think this really is, as you mentioned, I think this has greater implications in Russia than I anticipated before this. And here's a Putin sword, and the sword is broken.
Oy.
So, the other thing is that he's given away all of his juice, all of the things that he could have done to, in the future, to thwart us or to stop us. Now that's all exposed. He's played out his hand. There's nothing left for him to really do that would be a big surprise for us. And I'm getting especially problems in neighboring countries with him as well. So, yeah, I think that this Manafort trial has a good deal more than we thought. I mean, we thought it was just going to be a repeat. Okay, we already knew he's guilty. This is just the proof. Big deal. But I think the fact that it is connected with the Russians really has a greater, more global significance.
Yes, and I totally agree with other readings I've got and flashes. Putin is in big trouble domestically for the first time. Mm-hmm. Now, all dictators, as we know, get by having the common enemy. You know, by saying it's the evil West and the sanctions doing that. Otherwise, I'd be doing marvellous things for our economy. Right? So they always hide behind the enemy. And the oligarchs are sick of it. They're going, how come our assets are still frozen? You're supposed to deal with this. And you've got young Russians who are internet savvy going, why have 1,000 people been arrested for protesting and asking those questions that you were just saying. So I think he's getting the pressure for the first time. But I'd like to ask one more question on this video, Dave. One for me, same for you, which would be, is Manafort going to give up Don Jr.?
That's a great question. You want to read first?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay.
Let me put these cards back, because if he's going to spill his guts, it comes back to that meeting. Thank God they had that meeting, because there must have been dozens of other meetings, but that one,
we don't know about
that one.
Okay, viewers, so you're getting an extra question today, because now we're really curious. What will Manafort say? Don Jr.,
because this is really coming close to
the bone.
The den of the wolf, isn't it?
Sure.
Trump as wolf. And here's the wolf cub. Oh, Lordy. Thank you, James Coney, for putting Lordy back in the vernacular. I find myself saying it all the time now.
All right.
Lordy. Okay, so will Manafort give up Don Jr.?
That's a really awesome question.
Manafort, Don Jr. All right, just a look at, you'll have to pull these down. Oh,
sure.
Well, the answer to that, dear viewers, yes, and yes. So, it's all right, I'll hold them up from here.
Terrific.
Yeah. So, the Hierophant card. So, those of you who follow tarot, and even those of you who aren't so familiar with the images, will be used to now. The Hierophant card is the one about government, law and order, procedures, how things are done in the civic order, the legal order. That is government. That's who he is coming up with. He gets the Wheel of Fortune, the card of destiny. So in relation to this question, the destiny will play out for all the players. So to me, that's an adamant yes. He has no choice. Once he speaks, he has no choice. Why would he be the only one to go down? Why wouldn't he take the others down? You know, like we said, he's not getting a pardon anymore. So I think this is the destiny of Don Jr. as much as Trump, as much as Manafort. It is all part of a karmic play that is unfolding. And then the Seven of Fire walking through fire, he is going to give it up. Like he's got
Yeah.
nothing to lose.
Okay. So you want me to check in and see?
Please.
Okay, we'll just check in and see if
Please.
my spirit guides correspond with Lena's.
Yeah.
They seem to always do that, which one way we like to verify things. But let's ask, is he going to give up, is Manafort going to give up Trump Jr.? It doesn't always happen this way, but the man in the moon is laughing. He's just laughing like, come on, big surprise here.
Yeah.
Okay, now look, I want you to imagine, here is Manafort with the sword. Okay, he's holding the sword out like this. The tradition sometimes is one falls on one sword for a liege. He's not falling on his sword for a liege. He is pointing it, and he is pointing it to his people. Okay, now, and here's Trump Jr. Wow, and here's Jr. Okay, he's coming closer and closer and closer to the sword in front of the judge. I'm going to see if the judge has got it. Yep. I think it's all going to come out. I would even say it's just going to come out in the trial. It's just going to come forward. It might even be that Manafort doesn't necessarily want to offer this stuff up, but he must, and it becomes an issue in the trial. Let's just make sure of this. Okay, judge is nodding. He's saying, yeah, this is going to come up. This will be, kind of common knowledge once it goes through the trial. He says it's just no question about Manafort. If Manafort was going to do this, he already would have done it, and he hasn't. He is not falling on his sword for Trump. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's a pattern.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when you deal with dogs.
Yep.
No offense to dogs.
No offense to dogs or criminals,
right?
Or Russians. Love Russians in general. Right?
Yeah, nothing wrong with Russians in general. All of that. But this is the pattern. And Trump, with his fanatical thing about loyalty, having offered none to anybody. No, ever.
Right.
Okay, but expects it. And, you offer people 20 years off a 30-year sentence. Why wouldn't they?
Go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah, I think he really thought he was going to get, Trump was going to just, annul it and void it. And now he started to read the writing on the wall, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think? Yeah.
Totally. Oh,
Good.
how exciting. Good.
All right, on that note, thanks for watching.
Thank you. See you next time.